Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
I'm glad to be with you today. My name is David Ruzicka. I'm a Lifestyles member. I am a real estate investor. I also teach the free workshops that we do for Lifestyles Unlimited. They're all live streamed right now. I love to talk, and my daughters say I love to hear myself talk. But I actually love to share information about passive income. Years and years ago, my wife and I actually ordered Carlton Sheets' Real Estate Investor Program. I want to say this was about 1990. And before we had a remote control for our TV, it was really way back in the day. And we ordered his information. We got it. He's a good educator for real estate investing. Teaches a lot of the same principles we do at Lifestyles Unlimited. But at that time, we just had the books. And we put them on the coffee table. They sat there. Eventually, they moved to a guest room in our storage room in our first house, where they stayed for about 5 years. And then we threw them away, because if you buy something you're going to spend a lot of money, you spend a lot of money on something that's supposed to promise you financial freedom, you got to keep it for at least 5 years to make sure you're not going to get rid of it. Years later, fast forward, found Lifestyles Unlimited, joined for the same reason we got the Carlton Sheets information, but for an additional reason. And if we'd opened one of the very first books that he had in that packet of information, we would have read his words. He said, "You have wasted your money on this educational material if you do not surround yourself with successful, like-minded people." And we didn't know anybody that knew anything about real estate. So when we joined Lifestyles Unlimited, we joined to get the education, same reason we bought that information years before, but this time also to surround ourselves with successful, like-minded people. And I get to do that a lot. In fact, once a month, I go to San Antonio. I'm in Houston to work with David Fisher, who does our 2-day class, and got to know a little bit one of our mentors in San Antonio, lady by the name of Jody Carrillo. She's a girl compared to me, Jody Carrillo. And I've got her on today because one thing I like to do is learn from success. And she has a great success story. And I want you to learn from her success, and also to surround yourself with successful, like-minded people. And this is one of those people that I love to be around and hear her story. So, Jody, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. I'm so glad you're here. Just a little bit of introduction. So you are. Tell us what your role is at Lifestyles Unlimited professionally,
sure,
and also
absolutely.
kind of your role in life.
Okay.
As an investor.
So I currently am a single-family mentor at Lifestyles Unlimited. So what does that mean? Essentially, I am your coach when you want to start investing in single-family properties, and you join the team at Lifestyles. I am one of the mentors who walks you through every step of the way. So getting educated, your financing, finding the properties, evaluating and understanding the numbers, taking you through the entire process. And it's really, a coach, just like if you were to hire a personal trainer at the gym. I'm your personal trainer for teaching you how to successfully buy single-family properties and ultimately retiring through the map that Lifestyles has given to us. And so that's what I do on the single-family side. But as far as what I've done myself, Lifestyles has completely changed my entire life. And so that's why I believe I'm a great mentor, and I can really help people because I started in a place that, you would never think that I would be a real estate investor, considering my background and, having no experience and nothing as far as an upbringing of financial education or anything. And I think if I can do it, anybody can. And that's why I really have a passion for what I do as a mentor. I mean, it's amazing. That's so awesome. I love part of your story. So tell me when you first heard about Lifestyles Unlimited, what you were doing, how old you were. Yeah, take me back. So I was 25 years old. I had a young daughter at the time. And at that point, I had, of course, graduated high school. I had been in college a little bit, mostly part-time, because I was working a full-time job and trying to be a mother. And, I was not making enough money at my job. I was a manager there, and I was working my butt off, working overtime, doing everything I could but it just felt like, I was a rat, just going in circles in a rat race. And so I was upset, and I was looking for opportunity. So I had done network marketing. I had sold vitamins. I had messed with the stock market. That was a mess. I did a little bit of buying of gold and silver because I heard the dollar.
You bought rocks.
Yeah, I bought rocks that just sat in my closet. So then I came across Dave Ramsey, which a lot of you guys know about, right? Dave Ramsey is supposed to teach us about financial peace and all of those great things. And so I was listening to the Dave Ramsey show on my drive home every day, so I always had it left on the AM station. So on Sunday, after church, taking my daughter to get tacos, listening to the radio, and I hear this crazy guy named Del Walmsley, and he's talking about real estate investing and how he became a millionaire through real estate investing. And he talked a little bit about his background and how he grew up poor and didn't have much, to start with. And I thought, wow, that's much different than what I hear on Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's just talking about getting out of debt, whereas Del Walmsley is talking about success and freedom and all these things. And so my ears perked up. And when he said, we're having a free workshop in San Antonio, I got really excited, and I actually took some vacation time off just to go to the free workshop. And ultimately...
Was that the first free workshop in San Antonio?
I don't think it was the first one. This was back in October.
I know David Fisher went to the first 2-day in San Antonio.
Yeah, I believe that was in April. So mine was a few months later in October.
Okay.
And I did take the 2-day seminar as soon as I could. My daughter, I just remember she was breastfeeding at the time, and I had to coordinate all of that. But I made it happen. I didn't use any excuses. I didn't say, oh, I can't do it. I've got this going on. I made that 2-day seminar as hard as it was. I did. And honestly, I feel like I learned more at that 2-day seminar than I ever learned in college, than I ever learned in high school. I mean, it was really a pivotal point for me, that 2-day seminar. And that's, no joke. That's why when you guys asked me to come help with the 2-day, I am all for it, because that 2-day did so much for me as a person and just my education and where I was at.
Awesome. Hey, on the other side of the break, we're going to hear some more from Jody Carrillo, San Antonio mentor for single-family investing. She had up to 32 houses at one point, and so you want to stay tuned and hear the rest of her story. Thanks so much for being with us today, Lifestyles Unlimited Radio.
Warning, listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Good afternoon. This is David Ruzicka back with you with Lifestyles Unlimited Radio. Most of us are taught that there's a path to peace, love, joy, health, wealth, and happiness. And the path is this. You go to school and you study really hard so you can get into a good college. You go to college or university. You study really hard so you can get a good job with a company that's going to take care of you through your life with a paycheck or retirement, 401ks, IRAs, all that kind of stuff. And I'm here with Jody Carrillo, who is one of our single-family mentors from San Antonio, Texas. I mentioned before the break, she's owned up to 32 houses at one time. And so, Jody, I wanted to ask you kind of what was the map that you were given when you were growing up for financial freedom, success, whatever it might be? And then what is the map that you learned when you went to that free workshop in the 2-day class? Kind of just, and I mean, really at that point, what was your kind of first inkling that this is a different map and here's what it looks like?
Yeah, so growing up, I really didn't have a financial map, honestly. I grew up in the poor, middle-class type of household, paycheck to paycheck. My father was a bricklayer in construction, and my mother was disabled, and she ultimately passed away when I was a teenager in high school. And so it was just getting by. It was a good thing if we could get by. We paid our bills, and that was it. We didn't really have any extra money for extracurricular activities or vacations. I didn't know what any of that was. So my desire was to go to college because that's what all the successful people were doing, right? Going to college and getting these amazing careers because that was happiness and that was what I thought was normal. then I jump into the real world, and, when I graduated high school, I didn't qualify for financial aid. My dad made just above the amount where you can qualify, and I didn't have the money. I didn't have any savings to pay for it, so I had to get a job. And so I worked my job, and then I did college part-time, but it was just so big of a struggle. I couldn't pay the bills and save and do everything at once, and then I was a young parent, on top of that. So I didn't really have a path, but college, exactly what most people are taught: get a job, or go to college, get an amazing job, and that's the life. But as you can see, most people that does not. You're just stuck in a rat race, your whole life. So when I came to the 2-day seminar, I did join Lifestyles as a member, and I actually closed on my first property 35 days after I took that seminar.
Oh, wait. Now, really important question here. So you were a Dave Ramsey fan. You joined Lifestyles Unlimited, and just tell everybody, how did you pay for that?
Right. So I was 25 years old. I didn't have a ton of money. I put the membership cost actually on a credit card, and Dave Ramsey.
Oh my goodness! People are having heart attacks all across Texas right now.
And I just want to make one thing clear. Yeah, I'm not advocating to put anything on a credit card. You've got to look at your own financial path. But I did, because ultimately, instead of getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for college, I thought, hey, I'm going to get into a few $1,000s of debt for a mentoring program that's actually going to help me today, not, a pie in the sky. I might get a nice career out of it. So for me, it was a good decision, and it was. I made more back on my first deal that I did within 30 days than the entire cost of the membership. So it paid off.
And what was your at that moment, you had one primary goal. What was that?
Oh, yeah. So when you first join Lifestyles, we always like to talk about your goals, your financial goals. How fast do you want to retire? Do you want to retire your wife? Are you paying for college for your child? Well, my number one goal at that time, my daughter was just about to enter elementary school. So my goal was to be able to afford to send her to a private Christian school. And mostly because I went to crappy public schools that didn't teach me anything. I feel like there was so many distractions, with all the kids wanting too many kids in the classroom and just all these things. So I wanted better, just as most parents do. We want better for our child. And so that was my number one goal. And with that first property, I was able to check off that goal because the cash flow was actually more. It was $420 was the cash flow, and the monthly payment for the private school was right around $350. So I was like, holy cow, this works. This is not a scam. This is not some, exciting thing they're lying about. Like, this is real, and I wanted more of that. I was like, holy crap, give me more, please.
Yeah, I want to interrupt you right here for just a second. So I want people to think about this. A 25-year-old single mom working a not a lucrative job at all. I can't remember what you said you were doing at that time, but just working to get by, a dream just to be able to pay for her daughter's private school, and you did it within 35 days of joining Lifestyles Unlimited.
Yes,
I get all that right?
Correct.
That's
you got
amazing.
It right, yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
and that's what we teach at Lifestyles
exciting.
Unlimited that's what we teach at Lifestyles Unlimited is the idea of chunking. You go out and you buy one property, there's $400 a month in cash flow, boom. Private school's paid for the child, or utilities, and you buy another one, you get another chunk of your bills paid until you have. The idea is to meet or exceed your expenses.
Yes, and this is a conversation. Now my daughter is 14, so this is a conversation we have all the time. I said, hey, what kind of car do you want? Well, I want this. She wants some fancy car. I said, okay, well, how many houses is it going to take in order for you to afford that payment? And so she's looking at it from another perspective, other than how many hours do I need to work at a job? Or, she's looking at it from a cash flow perspective. And yes, chunking is amazing. And that's what I followed. And ultimately, that's how I got up to the 32 properties at such a fast time frame. So.
For just a second, though, tell me about your first house. My first house, I was terrified. I was calling my mentor every day. I was emailing him. Things that are like nothing. I'd be like, oh, my goodness, this is the end of the world. And I would call him and he'd say, okay, settle down. Can you go watch this video on the website? Or can you, here's what you need to do. I mean, no big deal. Held my hand all the way through. Tell me about your very first house. Were you scared or you...
I feel like I didn't have much to lose, and I really wasn't as scared as you would think. Being young, sometimes when you're younger, you're you tend to take more risk. And I thought, like, I'm going to make this work or I'm going to die. I'm going to go to the house and do everything. If these contractors screw up, then I'm going to take over. Like, this is not going to fail. So there was no doubt in my mind that this was going to work. And I think you have to think smart. And I had my mentor coaching me the entire way. So I think they gave me the confidence. And, of course, continuing to take the classes and talking to my mentor gave me the confidence that I needed to just keep pushing through on that first one.
And you invested, and you were beginning in 2009?
Yes. Yeah, October 2009 is when I closed up.
So what did your family and friends think about this idea?
They thought I was crazy. They were like, why don't you buy a house to live in? You know, you're still living at your dad's house. They would give me crap about that. They would laugh at me. Other people would tell me, oh, my gosh, look at the news. Turn on the radio. Don't you hear what's happening in the real estate market? Obama's president. The world's going to end. And so I was hearing all this negative voices, and I had to turn it off. I had to stop watching the news, honestly. I had to, if I was going to hang out with my friends, this is not what we were going to talk about, because most people were not supportive just because they didn't understand it, and it was outside the norm of what most people were doing at that time. So that's great. And that's kind of like today, right? You turn on the news, and everything is negative. You turn on the radio, everything is negative. And I totally understand there's negative in the world, but we can't focus on that. We've got to focus on our everyday.
Exactly right. Yeah, on the other side of the break, we're going to continue with Jody. Going to talk about how she got up to 32 houses. So hang with us a little bit longer. Great information. It's called Learning from Success. Glad you're with us today.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Good afternoon. You're still here with David Ruzicka. I'm a Lifestyles member and a real estate investor. I also teach our free workshops, and I want to invite you to join me for one of those. We've got one coming up this Tuesday at 6:30 in the evening. You can go to our website or go to freeworkshoplivestream.com and sign up for that. I'm going to teach you how to retire in 5 years or less. Also teach you the 5 ways we make money with real estate and the 6 principles that we use to provide for our families and run our businesses. So would love to have you join me for that. I want to get back, though, with Jody Carrillo. She is on the line with me. She is one of our San Antonio mentors. And Jody had up to 32 houses at one point. And Jody, can you just tell us about tell us how that happened. Walk us through it kind of step by step.
Yeah, so we did talk about the first property I closed on. So after that, that first year, I ended up closing on 7 single-family houses. They were all rental properties that I purchased on my own. And after that, I ran out of money and credit. So that's when I partnered with my father, and we did a couple of properties. I also met some wonderful people within Lifestyles, and I partnered with a couple of individuals who trusted me, and we partnered up on a bunch of deals. And before the age of 30, I think I was maybe 28 by the time we had up to 32 at one time. And that was amazing. But
by age 30? You say by age 30?
Yeah, before. I was trying to remember the age. Yeah, I think it was 27, 28. Before the age of 30, I was 32 houses.
So girls will stand around and they'll see a pretty girl and they'll say, oh, look, she's so pretty. I hate her. That's kind of how I feel about you right now.
Oh, yeah.
You're so amazing. Yeah. I hate you.
It was awesome. It was great.
That is awesome.
And so... yeah, and all the deals were great. I learned a lot about management and tenants and finding good residents and taking care of properties in the rehab and all of these. I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't even own my personal residence. I didn't buy my personal residence until I had 9 single-family houses. So I didn't know about, how do you change out, certain things, water heaters and AC filters and all that. Of course, at Lifestyles, they connected me to the team and the vendors that I needed. And how to navigate through all that. I contributed everything to Lifestyles Unlimited and my team. But so after we had 32 years after that, we started selling off, and now I'm at 13 houses that I own on my own, and a few of those are with my dad as well. But the next goal is to jump into multifamily, to apartment complexes, because the reality is that's where I want to be. That's where, Dave always says, you like expensive things. Yes. So, single family properties will free you. They will retire you. They will give you freedom. But ultimately, multifamily is my next step. And that's what I'm focusing on now.
And so where are you on that right now?
Right now, I'm kind of studying the market. I actually did buy a house this year. It's hard to say no when you see a good deal and it works. And just the demand for property right now, for rental properties in our area, is amazing. So these things are renting out to great residents, essential workers, who pay on time and all of those things. And so I did purchase a single family this year.
Yeah, so let's just go do it. Let's do a sidebar right here, because something really significant you said, because Jody's in San Antonio. It's an incredible market for single family. Great money to be made there. But you have people as a mentor for Lifestyles Unlimited that live in California that buy houses. And one thing we always say is you live where you want, invest where you need. And so
definitely.
How in the world can somebody in California buy a house in San Antonio, Texas?
Oh, yeah. We've got tons of out-of-area members who are buying here. So ultimately, they have a team, right? We connect them to the realtors. They work with leasing agents to find the tenants. They work with our team, our vendor team, to help them find contractors. And then, of course, they've got their mentor team walking them through step by step. I've got several members who own properties here that they've never physically walked. They're doing this from afar because they have the team they need in place, and they've taken the education, so they're not scared. They know what they're doing. They're empowered. One of the families owns up to 20 houses. I think she's over 20 now. Of course, she's also investing in multifamily as a passive investor, and she's also buying single family. And as the years go on, each time I talk to these people, it's like, oh, my gosh, my house went up this much in value. I raised the rent. I'm cash flowing over $500 on some of these things. That is really what I love, is to hear that, to see that people are changing their life one property at a time.
Yeah, that's an amazing deal. And it's something that probably would be very difficult to have done even 10 years ago. I know one of the guys in our office here in Houston, there was a house in Texas City. He was busy. The realtor walked through and FaceTimed him through the house, and he said, yes, I want that house. I want to put an offer on it. And he never went to the house. I think, eventually when he went to interview contractors, he did. But even then, how do you get around that? How do you have a contractor? How do you figure out what contractor you want to use if you're living in California but your house is in San Antonio?
Well, I would say, number one, work with your mentor and your Lifestyles agent. Connect with them and see who other members within our organization are using, so you can get that feedback on that past experience so you know what to expect. Right. And then with tenants, that's the biggest thing I hear. I know there's all these shows, crazy tenants or whatever. I've only had a couple of evictions through my I'm almost 12 years of investing. I've only had a couple of evictions, and they didn't go bad at all. That my houses were not destroyed. People just left. So that's just a fear factor. If you do your due diligence on your residents, you're going to find great people, and many of them stay year after year, and they take care of the property because this is their home. They're proud to call this place home, and they're not going to destroy it. So we teach you how to build that system. Most of our out-of-state members actually manage their properties from afar because the tenants pay online, they communicate online. So there's really no reason to be here physically, even though that's where your properties are.
And just to explain a little further, like, for instance, I have a house across town, and I've been to it twice. One time was to renew the lease. But if she ever has an issue, I look at our vendors list from Lifestyles Unlimited. I call a vendor. I say, can you go over there? And they go over there. They send me a picture, say, this is the problem. I say, is that my fault? Or is it the tenant's fault? Or is it my fault? Not my fault, but you know what I mean. Act of God, whatever. And they say, okay, it's the tenant's fault. Okay, I'm going to bill the tenant. And they go ahead and fix it, and they fix it, and it's taken care of. And I never go. I've had friends who said, yeah, I had to get out of that. My wife was always upset because I was always going to fix people's stuff at midnight or on a Friday night, things like that. And what we teach you is not to do that, to be able to be the kind of investor that if you lived in California, you could actually do this like Jody is talking about. That's what we want to do, because you want to buy back your time, not just find a new job to do, being a handyman or handywoman. That's good stuff, Jody. How do you screen your tenants?
Yeah, they go through a background process. They don't have to have stellar credit. I'm more focused on their rent history. I want to talk to their current landlord, their past landlord. I want to talk to their boss, right? I want to know how strong their career is. Are they full-time? Are they, going to get let? Are they going to? Is their job going to go away, right? So we want to look at that, and then we do a criminal background and see their history and so forth. But there are so many people here. I mean, residents. They're in the legal. I've got a lot of military. I have police officers. I have office managers, medical assistants. The list goes on, and they're great people. And, we help them. They use our system to pay rent and actually helps them build good credit so they can ultimately build their credit up and go buy a house. And some of them want to buy the rental property that they're renting from us, and some of them have done that. So that's exciting as well, because then we're giving back and giving them a good property to live in and to own.
When we get back on this other side of the break, we're going to continue with Jody Carrillo, mentor from San Antonio, who had at one point up to 32 houses. Glad to have her with me today. This is the idea of learning from success. Glad you're with me this afternoon.
Comes a point in time every now and then when the world flips upside down. And during that time, you have to come up with a decision in your life. How are you going to go through this? How are you going to work your way through this process that has no end? So what do? The first thing I need you to understand is that almost every entrepreneur out there makes it big when something bad happens. I tripled my net worth between 2008 and 2010. 10 years straight increase in value. It makes us all look like geniuses when everything goes up for 10 years straight. But now we're at the point where we're going to find out who's good again. And you need to be in there. Because why? Because I tripled my net worth in 2 years. You can do it too if you know what to do. You need to get into Lifestyles right now.
Join us for our free live online workshop. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Hey, you're here with David Ruzicka with Lifestyles Unlimited. I'm a real estate investor. I also do our free workshops. I do have one coming up this Tuesday night at 6:30 Central Time. It is live stream, so you don't have to be there. You can sit in your pajamas and watch me online on Tuesday evening, which will be better than any TV you will see. So all you have to do is go to freeworkshoplivestream.com, freeworkshoplivestream.com. And if you can't get there, just go to Lifestyles Unlimited webpage and it says sign up for one of our free workshops. I'm here with Jody Carrillo. She is a single family mentor for San Antonio, Texas, one of several. And she is just an amazing treasure trove of knowledge about real estate investing. And Jody, I wanted to ask you for this last segment, the first question was, one of the biggest fears people have is that real estate takes so much time. It's a full-time job. I can't do this because I'm going to work, I'm sitting in traffic, I'm watching the red lights in front of me, listening to Dave Ramsey, and I'm going to be working for the rest of my life. I'm going to my second job so I can pay off my house, blah, 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 blah. And so I don't have time. You had 32 houses. How much time, and now you have 13, how much time do you spend managing all those properties?
Oh, it's less than a couple hours a week, and mostly just checking payment history to make sure the payments went through, answering a couple emails, and I can do that right from my cell phone in traffic. No, just kidding. But yeah, it's not hard at all because we teach you a system to follow, right? There's rules. The tenants shouldn't be texting you or calling you every hour of the day. All the communication is by email. And the houses don't need a ton of repairs because when we purchase these distressed assets, we're making all the necessary repairs. So when the tenant moves in, there's not a lot of problems. I mean, the biggest thing is lease renewals and lease increases, and that happens once a year. And right. There may be a storm that knocks over a tree branch once a year at one or two properties, but very minimal demand. So most of our members continue to keep their full-time job because they need that W-2 and they need that income to keep buying more properties. So there's a process. You've got to have a little bit of delayed gratification until you get to the point where you can walk away from your job. So we don't want you to quit your job right away. And most people don't. They love their careers, but at some point, their passive income is to a point where they can choose to go rather than they have to go. And that's exciting.
Right. And so just so you guys know, so Jody's at a point where she could just not work, but she gives back by being a mentor and helping other people find financial freedom through real estate investing. So very thankful for her. So right now, Jody, there's COVID, there's election stuff. It's just like 2020. Everyone's like, wait, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. I probably shouldn't invest right now. I should take a breath, hold, and wait until everything settles down, and then I can start investing in real estate. What would you say to that?
That's okay. That leaves more for the rest of us. No.
Okay, I was going to say, when you said that's okay, I was like, what? No. Bad answer.
No. If I'm working with a new member and they may be a little bit apprehensive, actually right now, a lot of people are looking for single family more than ever. I feel like all of my properties, most of my tenants are renewing. They don't want to move. They're working from home. Some of them are doing, school from home. So there is a huge demand for single family rent houses right now. And it's amazing. And we've seen the values jump up. We've seen rents jump up. This is a great time to get in and get you some cash flow because there's no telling if your job's going to be there in a year or 2 years, right? Your pension, your government assistance may not be there, and ultimately your spouse may not be there. So you've got to have something. Got to have some passive income, and you've got to be.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking, wow, happy. I'm thinking, wow, happy thoughts. Your spouse may not be there,
right? I mean, divorce.
I do. I know what you mean. I'm sorry. These are the things that I can't say to you when you're actually doing the 2-day class and you're talking because I'm off on the side and I want to smart off to you during that, but right. I can't do it. So I can do it here on radio. But you're absolutely right. And you started at an insane time. You started in 2009 when the whole world was falling apart.
Right. Yeah, we were going through the recession, and the values were in most areas were going down, and so we were all scared about appraisals. Was our house going to appraise because there were so many foreclosures going on? But I didn't care. I said I'm going to get me some real estate. I am not scared of a little. There's a little bump in the road. I was looking at the long-term cash flow and the appreciation. I mean, in Texas, this is the fastest growing part of the country. So you've got to get you some real estate in Texas. You really have to. Just look at all the numbers, and we share this at all of our events. But in my opinion, I believe rental real estate is the best asset class out there. And I have done this. I've compared it to the stocks. I've compared it to silver, gold. I've compared it to bonds. There's nothing that compares that you can get in at such a low entry point. For this, you don't have to be an expert or some crazy rich person to get started. And that to me is life-changing because anybody can do it.
And there's no other asset class where you can make money in 5 different ways. I can't think of one. I don't know of any. I always go back to Del Walmsley, founder of the company. From 2008 to 2010, he doubled his net worth or tripled? I can't remember. I'm going to say doubled, but it might be tripled. I can't remember. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, at a time when everybody else was panicking, he increased his net worth dramatically. John Templeton, who he's a big famous stock guy, he's passed away now, but in 1939, he started buying stocks in the U.S., anything trading below $1 a share. And this is why Hitler was going across Germany. Over the next 5 years, he had a 400% increase in his portfolio. And he said this, he said, the time of maximum pessimism is the best time to buy. The time of maximum optimism is the best time to sell. So you have a perfect time to buy right now. And so to anybody that's listening, I would say come to the free workshop. I'll tell you more about that. You can go to Dave Fisher's, to his 2-day class or other instructors as well. Dave Fisher, another guy who started 2009. This last year's his income in 2009 was $65,000 a year. Horrible time to start. This last year's income was $2 million from real estate, which is just remarkable. And here you have Jody right here, who's just a superstar in terms of the single family investing, and begin at the same time as a 25-year-old mom with a little bit of college education. I love those kind of stories, Jody, because it gives me hope in myself, because I'm thinking, wow, if Jody can do it, maybe there's hope that I could do it. I mean, you're better than I am. Got that, but maybe I could do it too.
Right.
Tell me about your daughter. You said and about legacy.
Yes, absolutely. So she's been hearing me talk about this stuff since she was little, right? Because this is what all I talk about if I'm talking to friends or I'm on the phone. So she's well aware of everything. She started learning about this very young, and she's realized that she wants to be a lawyer, and she's got really good grades, and she loves school, so she can do that. But what I've taught her is if you want to take a year off, that's okay, because you're going to have rental real estate to help you. And she wants to start buying her first house here pretty soon. But it's ultimately about the legacy is how to create this freedom of cash flow. It's not just about being materialistic or, having a whole bunch of things. It's about how to create that freedom so she can do what she wants. She doesn't have to marry a man because he has money, or she doesn't have to work a job even though the boss is a jerk. She can choose to be with and work where she wants to, because she's going to have that. And she'll be able to pass that on and duplicate my results, take that to the next level and teach her children, her family the same, and anyone else she comes in contact with in her life. But she's already doing that at school. She's talking to friends about this stuff, and she's 14 years old. So that's amazing. If a 14-year-old can get this, the average adult can absolutely get this.
That's remarkable. That's so good. That's so good. Robert Hale, one of our multifamily members, he's in Central Texas too, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
He said when he had enough passive income that it was meeting or exceeding his bills, or maybe meeting or exceeding his income. Maybe it was exceeding his income at that time. He said it was a lot more fun to go to work. He said, because if work got too hard, it'd be like, oh, okay, I don't really need this job. I'm just here. I'm kind of here volunteering. Right. I don't have to be here because I've got this passive income and I can walk away anytime I want to. And he said it was really a freeing experience for him. Tell me, we talked about this afternoon. Tell me about your worst deal ever, because that's what people worry about. Tell me a real horror story.
When you asked me that, I had to really think hard, because I don't really have any horror stories. I'm glad I don't have anything too exciting to talk about on that level. There was one house, I think it was number 7 or 8, that I bought in the neighborhood that I grew up in. By the way, most of the houses I purchased were in the neighborhood I grew up in, so that was really rewarding. But one of the houses, it had a converted garage, so the appraisal came in $7,000 below what I initially projected. And so that was like, kind of wasn't horrible, but it did increase my cash out of pocket from... It was going to be 10. It ultimately ended up being 17,000. So the deal still worked. It still cash flowed over $350. A few years later, I pulled out $70,000 of equity. I still own the house today. And it's cash flowing about $300 right now. And I did a whole nother, basically did a full update to it. So it really didn't turn out to be a bad deal, but, not everything's going to go as you expect it. So you've got to have some wiggle room, and you've got to be flexible. And that's part of the education part.
That's so great. And here, what we always say, or what Del says, is when you have problems, he says, real estate is simple, people are difficult. If you follow the instructions, if you follow the model, if you follow the mentor, you'll have the kind of results that Jody has had. So glad you're with us this afternoon. Really appreciate it. Go to lifestylesunlimited.com and go sign up for my workshop if you've not done that before. All kinds of great information there, videos that you can watch as well. Have a great rest of your day.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.